Alright guys, MTech Guy here. So I've got no repair videos this weekend, so we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take a closer look at the E60 M5, and why not? Because it's a really interesting car. You know, with a car like this, you're verging on supercar territory, or super saloon if you like. And what you can't see from the outside is that we've got that glorious 5-litre V10 under the bonnet there. You've got a 7-speed SMG gearbox, and you've got that rear M-diff with limited slip. But from the outside, it's got very subtle styling. It just looks like a regular saloon from a distance. So we'll take a closer look on how this differs from a regular E60 and what makes this car so special. Alright, so to the untrained eye, from the outside, the car doesn't look that far removed from a regular E60 that has the M Sport package, but there are a few subtle differences, them little differences that make this the E60 M5. So if we start down the front here, you can see we've got these large air scoops, no fog lights on these cars, just got the large scoops, and that's for the brake cooling. There's some ducts there running through to the front calipers, and then as we move round to the front fenders, the wheel arch there, you can see we've got that nice lip there, then bulging front arches. That's just to allow for that wider stance on the E60 M5. And then moving further back on the fender, on the wing, of course we've got the side vents here. That's the biggest giveaway, and they've got the M5 logo there, look. Pretty cool looking. And then if we come to the wheels, we've got the larger diameter wheels, and that's to accommodate them huge brakes. Look at the size of them discs there. We've got them huge calipers. So that's to give us enough braking power there to rein in all that power of the V10. The side skirts look not unlike the E60 M Sport. And as with most M cars, the wing mirrors are just subtly different. They've got that nice rounded shape, a bit more sportier looking. And with the rear wing here, the rear fender, that wheel arch lip there is exactly the same as a regular E60. It doesn't bulge out like the front one does down at the front there. Now the only difference being, the plastic inner wheel well liner is actually trimmed back here. So the original ones on the E60, the wheel liner comes right to the edge there. This one's trimmed back, so it's actually fitted just a few inches further back, and that's just to accommodate for them larger wheels. And then the wheels are much wider than a regular E60, but the depth goes that way towards the inner side of the car. So although the wheels are bigger, that wheel well's just trimmed on the inside there. Okay, and moving around the back here, of course you've got this different shaped bumper to the regular E60. You've got the quad exhaust tips, just letting you know that we've got an M car sitting in front of us, and then the bumpers just have this little shaped section over the rear tailpipes there. And of course, that rear diffuser there too. Now I've got the M5 badge on the boot lid there, and another subtle difference here is this section here. Now this is blocked off compared to the regular E60, which the number plate aperture comes right round here. This is sort of blocked off either side of the number plate, and that just fills in the boot lid nicely there, gives it a nice smooth look. And then round the front here, we've got the front bumper with this big gaping air dam here, and we've got the oil cooler that sits just behind there for that V10. Then when we take a look inside the car, we've got that leather interior, that's gorgeous merino leather, and these seats, I can honestly say they're the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in a car. They've got the thigh support there, lumbar support, adjustable bolsters there. Now I find with this lumbar support, you can adjust it in 3 different positions there, and also the heated seats, you can share the heat from the seat pad there, or the lower area of the seat there also. So I've been working on cars for over 20 years now. My lower back isn't the greatest, so it's a real treat when you get this just filling the arch of your back nicely and get that heater going in the winter time. Lovely. The thigh rests there, they're electric adjustable. The switches down here. We've got memory for the passenger as well as the driver, and we've got electric adjustable headrests also. It's been a feature of the M5 for many years. And round the passenger side here, got a cup holder for the passenger, pops out like that. Then one for the driver there, one for the driver there, and one for the driver here. Alright, we've got one for the driver here, and normally pops out, looks like a magazine cartridge from a machine gun. It's got like a curve to it, it points towards the driver. Yeah, they don't work that great. Down in the footwell there, We've got this wee storage net, storage pockets in the door cards there. Now these door cards, I must say they do look a bit goofy. I'm not sure about the styling now. The later model, the facelift E60s and the M5s, they had a different look. They didn't have this sort of jagged looking door handle here. The trim strip just went across the top like a normal door car would. It's a very awkward styling on this. Even my 8-year-old daughter, she jumped in the passenger seat for the first time when I first got the car, and she's looking at the door card going, "Oh Dad, what, you know, what's this? Why is it like this?" And I'm looking at her going, "Yeah, good question." So yeah, not sure the styling on the door cards there, but they serve the purpose, they function well, so what are you going to do? And we've got the M5 logo on the sill plates there as you enter each door opening. And then we jump in the driver's seat here. You can see we've got an M Sport looking steering wheel, but on the M5 one, of course, you got the magic M button there. Now what you can do using the iDrive system, you can preset a lot of the car's setup, the engine settings, the gearbox settings. So with a hit of that button, the car will be dialed in just as you want it. Switch it off again, and then the car can be just nice and subdued, ready for it to take a nice cruise through town or whatnot. And of course, with this being an M car, we've got that beautiful tri-coloured stitching around the inside. Now the instrument cluster, although it looks like a regular E60 setup, we've got the 330km speedometer there. And then of course, we've got the rev counter that goes up to 8,250 RPMs. And instead of the econometer down the bottom there, got the oil temperature gauge. And then of course, that M logo in the rev counter also. Moving down to the center console, you got your heater controls here. Got your temperature adjust, on and off, your fan speed control there. Here's your air conditioning switch gear, but of course you've got no directional switches for your heat, where you want it blowing, whether you want it on your feet, on the windscreen, at your face. Have to go through the iDrive for that. Horrendous system, it's ridiculous. To click into that, go through the sub menus, pick what you want. Would have been so much nicer just to have some sliders like the E30, like the old E30s, or just some buttons or something on there, you know. I don't know what they were trying to achieve with that. Maybe they're trying to showcase the new technology, the iDrive system, but a horrendous system, pain in the ass, is one thing I don't like about this car. And same with the radio here. Got the on and off knob here, and your volume. Got your track, skip, whatnot, your eject button. Now, there's no radio preset buttons here, and that's another thing. You've got to go into the iDrive again, go through the sub menus, pick what you want. You're trying to do all this when you're driving. It's not ideal. And I think with obviously the later BMWs, they went back to having the buttons across the front here, so not the greatest idea. And then moving further down here, got the heated seat switches, got the parking distance sensor on and off, and then your tyre pressure sensor down there. Now this is a pretty bare looking panel here. This car isn't heavily optioned. You could get these cars with cooled seats as well as heated, and they're usually easily identified with the leather having all perforations through it. And also, although this car's got the adjustable side bolsters, you could also get the active bolsters that would sort of pinch you in as you go around a corner, and you could adjust the strength of that and whatnot. But you know, not all the M5s came with that, but it was an option. And we've got the gearbox shifter here. You can operate that up and down with the shifter itself, or we've got the paddles on the steering wheel. And then you can also adjust the strength of the shifts, the harshness if you like, the softness with this button here. So you can click up or down. You've got 5 settings, and then there's also a 6th setting that you can use with the traction control off. So traction control, you've got your DSC, dynamic stability control. There's your on-off button for that. And moving around here, you've got the power button. So when you initially jump in the car, you've got 400 horsepower. You click the power button, and then you've got the magic 507 horsepower. Then moving down to the bottom corner here, we've got the EDC button. You've got 3 settings there to change the strength of your suspension settings, how harsh you want it. And when you go into the 2nd and 3rd setting of this, it'll also sharpen up the steering. Now with this M5 being a really early model, it's a 2005, the knob for the iDrive system That's just got this plasticky, funny looking thing with the lines on it. And the later models from 2006 onwards, it had like a real beautiful looking, almost looked like it was machined out of aluminium. But yeah, this is what the earlier models came with. And of course, this doesn't have the stop-start button and the square key box either. This comes with an actual real diamond key. I quite like that. But like I say, just on the 2005 model, the early models, the later ones came with the key box. We've also got the heads-up display switch here. You can turn it on and off. And what that'll do, that'll just give you the speed and some other information on the windscreen there. But with this being the M car, you can also put it into M dynamic mode, and that'll give you a shift, sort of like a shift light system on the windscreen there, as well as your speed and whatnot. Pretty cool. And one lovely option you could get with the M5 is this Alcantara headliner. And it also came with the A, B and C pillars trimmed, and the parcel shelf also. You can also see we've got the rear blind option. Keeps the sun out the car, and also great here in New Zealand, it keeps them harsh UV rays off the leather. Now you could also get the option of the side windows with the rear blinds also. They were sort of manually pulled up. And you've got this funky armrest here. It's got a wee slot there for an old mobile phone, an old Ericsson, something like that, I'm not sure. Be some old Japanese setup. And then a wee cubby hole down the bottom there. And then your armrest here, that's adjustable. Shift it forwards or backwards. And on the steering column here, down the bottom, we've got the cruise control lever there, and then just above that we've got the switch to adjust your steering column up, down, in and out, telescopic tilt. Now we'll take a look in the boot, in the trunk here. Now in a regular E60, the battery lives under that compartment here. We've got a wee cubby on this side, and then if we pull this trim piece out, we've got the navigation computer there. Now this has been a Japanese import. Actually comes with a hard drive slot there rather than the DVD system you get in the European, North American cars. And if we take a look under the boot floor here, you can see that's where the battery lives in the M5, right in the centre there. And of course, no spare wheel with the M5, and they didn't come with run flats either. So what we've got is the little air compressor there and a can of foam to get you out of trouble. So yeah, good luck with that if you ever end up in that situation. And of course, the jewel in the crown, we've got that gorgeous 5-litre V10 there. It's got 10 individual throttle bodies, 4 cams, 40 valves, 507 horsepower, absolute monster of an engine, and it revs to 8,250 RPMs. Sounds absolutely glorious. It's something real special. Not something we've seen in the past, and not something we'll ever see again as far as I'm aware. So it's certainly a reasonable size. It's really crammed into that engine bay. Now the engine bay's fairly large in an E60 anyway, but this engine does take up a lot of room. You know, you've got the full size of the engine, you've got these beautiful air intakes there instead of just a daft plastic trim over the top. And then of course you've got the 2 air filter boxes there, the 2 inlets to your 2 plenums there. So although it's laid out very similar to a regular E60, there are a few differences here and there. And of course the M5 has hydraulic steering. It doesn't have the electric steering like a regular E60. So you've got your hydraulic fluid reservoir there. And then under the 2 cabin air cleaner lids there, we have the computer. That side, the ECU. This side you got your brake master cylinder, exactly the same as a regular E60. Now you can see there's nowhere for the DSC ABS module to go in the engine bay there. There's not much room left over after that engine and all the other bits and pieces. So in the M5 it actually lives down in the wheel well there, just at the back end there behind the front wheel. And you can see down the front here, got the electric fan, and then there's not much room between that and the front end of the engine, all the belts and pulleys. So she's a pretty tight squeeze, but it's a pretty large engine. She's a monster. Alright guys, so there we have it. That's the E60 M5, very unique car, and a bit of a unicorn car, you know. The only production BMW that ever came with a screaming V10 like this one, and it's in a very humble looking sedan. How about that? How cool is that, eh? Very subtle, very stealth, very cool. Alright, if you found the video interesting, don't forget to give it a like. Make sure you check out the rest of my YouTube channel for more M5 content. I'm MTech Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.